The Veyron Prime Orbital Hotel floated like a gleaming jewel above the bustling city below. Its tall, transparent walls reflected the colors of distant stars, while its halls buzzed with the chatter of travelers from countless worlds. In this place of elegance and luxury, people expected comfort, efficiency, and the familiar rhythm of life. But today, something unusual was arriving, something that would turn the routine of the hotel upside down. No one had expected an alien visitor of this sort. The shuttle docked with a gentle hum, and a single figure stepped out. It was unlike anything the staff had ever seen. It was tall, taller than even the tallest human guests, with limbs that seemed fluid and elongated. Its skin shimmered like liquid silver, refracting the ambient light in a rainbow of shifting colors. Eyes that seemed to look in more than one direction at once gave it an unsettling yet fascinating presence. The lobby staff froze. Automated translators tried their usual routines, attempting to decode the alien's speech, but the sounds that emerged were not words. They were musical, almost like a symphony played on multiple instruments at once, and the devices blinked uselessly in response. Other guests in the lobby whispered nervously, some stepping back to create space, while others gawked openly, phones and cameras already out. The alien moved with grace, gliding across the marble floor without a sound. It observed the surroundings carefully, its gaze sweeping over every detail. Flowers in vases, the pattern of the floor tiles, the movements of the staff. It seemed to be absorbing the hotel itself. Its hands, delicate and intricate, reached out occasionally, brushing lightly against walls or furniture, not to damage but seemingly to understand. Among the onlookers was a young boy named Milo. He was 12 years old, with messy hair and wide, curious eyes. Milo had always been fascinated by space and aliens, spending hours reading books about distant planets and imagining what life might be like beyond Earth. While the adults around him whispered nervously or fumed at the inconvenience, Milo felt something different. There was no fear in the alien's movements, only curiosity, a desire to observe and perhaps to communicate. Milo's family had come to the hotel for a short vacation, celebrating a successful year. Milo had been wandering the lobby, half bored and half excited by the impressive view of the city below, when he noticed the alien. Unlike the staff, who tried to hide their confusion, Milo approached slowly. He didn't feel threatened. Instead, he felt a spark of curiosity, as if the alien were a puzzle waiting for him to solve. "Hello," Milo said, his voice quiet. The alien stopped and tilted its head, a motion that reminded Milo of a flower bending towards sunlight. There was no immediate response, no translation, no words. But Milo noticed that the creature's eyes focused on him in a way that suggested awareness. It was observing him, and in its gaze, Milo thought he saw something almost like recognition. Around them, the hotel staff were growing impatient. The head of security, a tall human named Officer Karen, stepped forward. "Sir, or whatever you are, you need to follow the hotel protocol," he said firmly. "We have procedures for all visitors." It didn't obey commands, it didn't answer questions, and it certainly didn't appear to be dangerous. Yet the unknown always frightened humans and other species alike. Milo crouched slightly, remembering the small alien translation toy he had brought along for fun. It was a gift from his parents, meant for pretend games, but Milo had always imagined it could help him communicate with extraterrestrial beings. He held it out. The alien extended one of its shimmering hands toward it, hovering for a moment, then pulling back. The device made a soft noise, trying to mimic sounds from the alien's vocal range. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the alien emitted a sequence of musical tones. They weren't words, but Milo could feel a rhythm, a pattern in the sounds, almost like a conversation through music. He frowned, concentrating. He tapped a small sequence of notes on the toy, trying to imitate what he had heard. The alien paused, listening intently, then responded with a slightly different sequence. Milo's heart raced. This was real. He wasn't just imagining a connection. He was communicating, slowly and clumsily, with an alien being. From the corner of the lobby, Officer Karen frowned. "What is he doing?" he muttered. "This is a visitor of unknown origin. The child could. Maybe he can do what we can't." Guests started to notice. Whispers turned into murmurs of amazement. "Look, that child is communicating with it," someone said. Others watched, some skeptical, others intrigued. Even the staff paused, uncertain whether to intervene or to continue observing. The alien's attention remained entirely on Milo. It bent its head, swirled its limbs, and produced a sequence of tones that made Milo's toy vibrate. Milo laughed softly, clapping his hands in delight. "I think you want to know about the hotel, huh?" he asked. "You want to see everything." Over the next hour, he guided the alien through the lobby. He pointed to the elevators, the lounge, the gift shop, and even the small aquarium in the center of the hotel. Each time, he described the objects in simple words and gestures. The alien responded with musical tones, sometimes pausing to study the details before moving on. By now, the adults had started to accept that something unusual was happening. The alien was not aggressive, and it clearly understood Milo's attempts at communication. The tension in the hotel began to shift from fear to fascination. Guests took pictures, but no one tried to interrupt Milo and the alien. They could feel something special was happening, something that didn't require official protocols or bureaucratic procedures. As evening approached, Milo led the alien to a quiet corner of the lounge, near a window overlooking the city lights. He sat cross-legged on the floor, the alien mirroring his posture as best as it could. Milo pulled out a small sketchbook and began drawing shapes while making musical notes with his toy. The alien responded, its body shimmering as it produced sequences of tones that seemed almost like sentences in music. For the first time, Milo understood a little of what it wanted. It was curious, not just about the hotel, but about life on this planet, about humans, about how beings like Milo think and feel. Its questions were not spoken, but Milo felt them in the rhythms and gestures. He tried to answer as best as he could, explaining simple things, meals, lights, the flow of people, even emotions like happiness and curiosity. Hours passed, and the lobby slowly emptied. Milo's parents watched from a distance, amazed at their son's ability to connect. They realized that this encounter was something extraordinary, something that no one had been able to do for centuries of interstellar travel. Humans were often underestimated by more advanced civilizations, but here, in this quiet lounge, a child was showing the power of empathy, creativity, and curiosity. Finally, as the hotel lights dimmed, the alien paused. It produced a long, lingering tone that resonated deep in Milo's chest. Milo understood it as gratitude. He smiled, feeling a warmth he had never experienced before. He had bridged a gap that adults, technology, and translators had failed to cross. In that moment, he realized something incredible. Humans, even young ones, had something special that no amount of alien sophistication could replicate. The alien retreated to its shuttle, but it lingered for a moment, looking back at Milo. Milo waved, feeling both proud and a little sad. He knew this was only the beginning, that the universe was full of mysteries, and that humans, especially humans who dared to observe, listen, and connect, could play a larger role than anyone had imagined. As the shuttle lifted off, the lobby was silent. Guests and staff exchanged glances, unsure how to describe what they had witnessed. But Milo didn't need words. He had understood the alien, and the alien had understood him. In that understanding, he saw a glimpse of the future, one where humans could stand proudly among the stars, not just as spectators, but as beings capable of extraordinary connection, insight, and courage. And somewhere in the glittering expanse of space, the alien seemed to carry with it a memory of a small human boy who had dared to listen, to observe, and to connect. A memory that might one day change the way the universe viewed humanity. The morning after the alien's arrival, the Veron Prime Orbital Hotel seemed to hum with a new energy. Staff whispered about what had happened the night before, and guests lingered in the lobby, hoping to catch another glimpse of the strange, shimmering visitor. But the alien was nowhere in sight. Milo, however, was not discouraged. He had already made a connection, however small, and he was determined to explore it further. Milo woke early, his mind racing with possibilities. He imagined all the ways he could communicate with the alien beyond musical tones and gestures. He gathered his small collection of toys, sketchbooks, and his makeshift translation device, believing that each could be a tool to understand this being. To him, the alien was not a threat, not a curiosity to observe, but a friend to meet and learn from. Down in the lobby, the hotel staff had convened in their meeting room. They were frustrated, confused, and a little scared. They had faced many unusual guests, interstellar diplomats, exotic species with strange customs, even some dangerous travelers. But never had they encountered a being whose presence could not be controlled, whose language could not be translated, and whose intentions were completely unknown. "Maybe it's harmless," said one receptionist, trying to calm the others. "It didn't attack anyone, and it didn't damage anything. But what if it's testing us, or worse?" The alien had vanished for the time being, but its presence was still felt. Meanwhile, Milo approached the concierge desk, asking if anyone had seen the alien. He described the shimmering appearance, the musical tones, and the fluid movements. Most adults dismissed it as imagination or exaggeration, but a few remembered seeing the odd behavior of the previous night. Milo, sensing their hesitation, decided not to wait. He had learned something important. Adults often missed details because they were focused on rules and fear. He, however, could notice the small things that mattered. Hours passed, and the hotel remained calm, but tension lingered. Then, from the quiet edge of the lounge, Milo spotted the alien again. It stood near a window, observing the city below, its body shimmering in the sunlight that filtered through the glass. Milo's heart leapt. He approached slowly, waving his hand to get the alien's attention. The alien turned, focusing on him, and Milo felt that familiar spark of recognition. "Hello," he said softly. "It's me, Milo." He could feel the emotion behind the sound, even if he could not understand the words. Milo sat on the floor, cross-legged, and pulled out his sketchbook. He began drawing simple shapes, circles, and lines, and then showed them to the alien. The alien leaned closer, its eyes reflecting colors as it studied the drawings. Then it traced patterns in the air with its fingers, as if responding with its own version of writing. Milo's eyes widened. He had never imagined communication could be so visual, so abstract, and so alive. From across the lounge, other guests noticed the interaction. Some murmured in amazement while others took careful photos. One of the hotel's security droids rolled closer to observe. Unlike humans, the droid followed protocol, scanning the alien for threats. It beeped and whirred, but Milo ignored it. He had learned that the alien was not interested in harming anyone. It was interested in understanding, in learning, and perhaps in teaching. Milo decided to try a new approach. He gathered small objects from around the lounge: a pen, a cup, a flower from a vase. He placed them in a line and pointed to each, naming them aloud. Then he repeated the musical tones he remembered from the alien. The alien responded by pointing, its long fingers hovering over the objects. Milo realized it was making connections, linking the alien's musical language to the physical world. This was breakthrough, small but significant. Encouraged, Milo spent the next hour teaching simple concepts. He drew a sun and pointed to it, then made a bright, rising tone. He drew water and tapped a flowing motion. The alien copied the gestures and produced similar tones. Slowly, a pattern of understanding was forming between them, but not everyone was pleased. Officer Karen and the hotel manager watched from a distance, concern etched on their faces. "It's too unpredictable," Karen said. "We don't know what it's capable of. What if it learns more than we expect?" "The alien doesn't seem hostile." Milo's eyes lit up. He had studied basic math sequences and patterns at school. Maybe he could use that to teach the alien. He started clapping sequences, one clap, then two, then three, and watched the alien mirror them in its musical tones. It responded with its own sequences, 4, 5, 7, sometimes random numbers, always in rhythm. Milo laughed, delighted. "You're smart," he said. "You like numbers, don't you?" The alien's tone seemed to hum in agreement. As the day went on, Milo's connection with the alien deepened. He discovered that simple patterns worked best: colors, shapes, sounds, rhythms. The alien seemed to understand cause and effect and even humor. Milo made a small paper airplane and tossed it. The alien mimicked the motion, and then produced a tone that rose and fell like a laugh. Milo realized they were sharing joy, a universal language. The hotel, meanwhile, had become a stage. Guests were fascinated, and slowly fear gave way to admiration. The staff who had once been nervous began taking notes, trying to understand Milo's methods. They saw that the alien was not dangerous. It was curious, intelligent, and capable of learning in ways humans could barely comprehend. By late afternoon, Milo felt exhausted but happy. The alien had learned more in a few hours than any translator could hope to achieve in days. He realized something important. Humans had a unique ability to empathize, to teach, and to connect across differences. Technology and rules were useful, but curiosity, patience, and creativity could achieve far more. Suddenly, a minor crisis erupted. A maintenance drone malfunctioned, sending a loud alarm through the lobby. Guests panicked, and staff rushed to intervene. The alien froze, producing a sequence of anxious tones. Milo acted quickly. He pointed at the drone, then clapped a simple rhythm, and the alien responded with tones that seemed to signal attention. Together, Milo and the alien guided the drone safely away from the guests, using gestures and musical sequences to coordinate. The crowd gasped. Adults who had doubted the alien now watched in awe. A child and a visitor from a distant world had solved a problem that technology and adults could not manage immediately. Milo realized, again, how unique the human mind could be, especially when combined with creativity and courage. After the crisis, the alien remained near Milo, following his lead as he explored the hotel. Milo introduced it to small, safe routines, ordering a cup of juice from the cafe, pointing out the elevators, and showing how to press buttons. The alien mirrored everything carefully, producing tones that expressed understanding, delight, and curiosity. By evening, the alien seemed calmer and more confident. Milo's parents approached him, proud but amazed. "Milo," his mother said softly, "you've done something incredible. You've, I don't know, connected with something no one else could." "Maybe that's what humans are good at," he said. "Not just machines or translators, but empathy, creativity, curiosity. Maybe that's why other species are drawn to us, even if they don't understand us fully yet." They shared a peaceful moment, watching the city lights flicker below. Milo realized that the alien had not just come to the hotel, it had come to learn, and perhaps to teach, too. And Milo, for his part, had learned something just as profound. Humans were small in the universe, yes, but they had an ability to connect across unimaginable differences, to bridge worlds with curiosity, patience, and imagination. And in that realization, Milo felt a deep sense of pride, not for himself alone, but for all of humanity. As the hotel lights dimmed and the guests retired to their rooms, Milo stayed with the alien a little longer, practicing sequences of tones and gestures. He smiled as the alien responded, shimmering with subtle delight. He knew that this was only the beginning of something much larger, a journey of understanding between species, guided by something uniquely human. For the first time in its travels, the alien seemed to relax completely, settling into a quiet rhythm with Milo. The two of them, human and alien, had found common ground in curiosity and empathy, and in doing so, had begun to bridge a gap that no translator, no protocol, and no machine could ever reach. And somewhere deep in Milo's heart, he knew that tomorrow would bring new challenges and new opportunities to show the universe just how extraordinary humans could be. The day after Milo had first connected with the alien, the hotel buzzed with quiet excitement. Staff and guests whispered about the boy who could communicate with a being no one else could understand. Some tried to see the alien again, hoping to glimpse the shimmering visitor, but it stayed close to Milo, seemingly trusting him alone. Milo woke early, filled with anticipation. He had learned much from the alien the day before, but he knew there was more to discover. He packed his small notebook, his tablet, and the collection of toys and gadgets he used to communicate. He didn't fully understand the alien's musical language yet, but he had learned to sense patterns, to read emotion in the tones, and to respond in ways that the alien could recognize. By mid-morning, Milo found the alien standing near the observation deck, gazing at the orbital city below. The alien's body shimmered in soft waves, reflecting the sunlight that streamed through the glass. Milo approached quietly, holding up his hand in greeting. The alien turned, and the familiar sequence of musical tones welcomed him. Milo grinned. He had begun to recognize the subtle differences in the alien's tones, the rising notes that meant curiosity, the gentle vibrations that expressed calm, the quick flutters that hinted at excitement. "Good morning," Milo said. "Are you ready to learn more today?" The alien reacted immediately, producing tones that rose and fell with each visual change. Milo laughed softly. "You understand, you're learning faster than I expected." One of the staff whispered to another, "It's amazing how a child can bridge the gap where we failed. He doesn't think in rules or fear, he just listens and experiments." The alien reached out, its long fingers tracing the shapes in the air, and emitted a sequence of tones that mirrored Milo's drawings. It was as though the alien was teaching back, responding in its own language to his symbols. Milo noticed a pattern. The alien's tones followed simple mathematical sequences, one tone, two tones, three, then repeating or varying in interesting ways. Milo realized he could use this to teach numbers and basic concepts. He clapped a rhythm, one clap, two claps, three claps. The alien responded in kind, adding its own variations. Milo giggled. "You're not just copying, you're thinking." Milo would tap a block, and the alien would respond by tapping another in a pattern. Soon, they could create simple sequences together, almost like composing a tiny musical story. Guests began to gather quietly in the lounge, fascinated by the display. They watched as a small human boy and an alien created patterns of sound and motion that no translator could replicate. Some whispered in disbelief. How is it possible that a child can communicate with a being so advanced? Others nodded in admiration, recognizing that this was something extraordinary. Milo's parents sat nearby, proud but amazed. They had never imagined their son would interact with an alien in such a meaningful way. Milo, for his part, was focused entirely on the connection. He had learned something important. The alien wasn't just trying to communicate, it was trying to understand humans, their world, and perhaps their way of thinking. By late afternoon, Milo decided to explore the hotel itself with the alien. He led it through the lounge, past the elevators, and into the atrium, pointing out objects and explaining their purpose. He showed the alien a small fountain and tapped the water, producing a tone sequence. The alien responded with rising and falling notes as if expressing delight. Milo laughed. "You like it. I knew you would." It mirrored small gestures, the way a guest adjusted their clothes, the way a staff member greeted someone with a nod. Milo realized the alien was studying humans carefully, not just communicating with him. It was learning patterns, routines, and behavior, much like a scientist observing a new species. Then a small incident occurred. A service robot malfunctioned in the corridor, spinning out of control and causing a minor collision with a luggage cart. Guests gasped, and staff rushed to intervene. Milo quickly stepped forward. He clapped a rhythm, and the alien responded with tones that seemed to guide the robot's attention. Together, Milo and the alien managed to calm the situation, directing the robot safely away. The staff were stunned. They had never seen a child and an alien coordinate so efficiently. Officer Karen, who had been skeptical from the beginning, looked on with a mixture of amazement and disbelief. "I can't believe it," he muttered. "No adult could have done that." The alien's abilities, combined with his own understanding of human behavior, allowed them to solve problems that neither could handle alone. It was a lesson in cooperation and understanding across species, and Milo felt proud to be part of it. As the sun set, Milo and the alien returned to the observation deck. Milo pulled out his notebook again, sketching simple shapes while producing musical tones. The alien responded with intricate sequences, some of which Milo had never seen before. It was experimenting, testing his understanding, and even teaching him new patterns. Milo's mind raced with excitement. He had never imagined learning could be so dynamic and alive. Milo's mother approached quietly. "You've done something incredible today," she said. "You've connected with a being no one else could. You've taught it, learned from it, and even solved problems together. You should be proud." About humans, he set up a simple game with colored blocks, arranging them in patterns while producing musical tones. The alien watched intently, then rearranged the blocks in its own sequence, producing tones in harmony with Milo's. Milo laughed with delight. "You're not just following, you're creating." Milo realized that the alien was capable of abstract thought, imagination, and creativity, much like humans. Their communication had moved beyond simple gestures or responses. It had become a shared experience, a dance of learning and understanding. By now, other guests had gathered again, quietly observing the interaction. They whispered in awe, some taking careful notes, others simply marveling. A few of the staff even tried to learn from Milo, watching how he guided the alien, how he interpreted its tones, and how he responded with gestures and patterns. Milo noticed and smiled. He was teaching more than the alien. He was showing everyone what humans could do when they approached the unknown with curiosity, patience, and empathy. As night fell, the alien seemed to settle near Milo, producing soft tones that radiated calm and trust. Milo felt a deep sense of connection. He had bridged a gap that adults, machines, and translators had failed to cross. He had shown that human qualities, curiosity, creativity, empathy, were powerful tools in communication and understanding. Milo's father watched quietly, realizing something profound. "Humans often underestimate ourselves," he said to his wife. "We rely on technology, rules, and authority, but a curious child can see and do things that even the most advanced beings cannot. We may be small in the universe, but our minds are extraordinary." He traced shapes in the air and made small musical tones, and the alien responded in kind. They were no longer teacher and student. They were partners, explorers in a new form of understanding. Before leaving for the night, Milo thought about what he had learned. The alien was not just a visitor. It was a traveler, a researcher, a being seeking knowledge. And humans, even small humans, could offer something that no machine, no protocol, no translator could: empathy, creativity, and the ability to connect across differences. The alien's shimmering body reflected the stars outside, its tones vibrating softly in harmony with Milo's. He smiled, knowing that this was only the beginning. There were more patterns to explore, more ideas to share, more discoveries to make. And he felt proud not just for himself, but for all humans who had the potential to bridge worlds and inspire understanding in ways no one had imagined. As the hotel quieted and the stars glittered above Veyron Prime, Milo knew that the bond he had formed with the alien was something special. It was a reminder that curiosity, courage, and kindness were universal languages, languages that could reach across the vast expanse of space, connecting beings in ways that no one else could. And somewhere deep in the alien's musical tones, Milo sensed gratitude, curiosity, and excitement for the future. They had begun a journey together, a journey of understanding, exploration, and the remarkable power of humans to stand out among the stars. The morning sun spilled over Veyron Prime, casting long reflections across the hotel's polished floors. Milo woke with excitement and a little nervousness. Yesterday had been extraordinary, and he had felt the first hints of true understanding with the alien. But today he sensed that something bigger was about to happen. He packed his notebook, tablet, and a small set of colored blocks, just as he always did, ready for a day of experiments and learning. By mid-morning, Milo found the alien standing near the atrium. Its body shimmered in shifting shades of silver and blue. It turned as he approached, producing a sequence of tones that Milo recognized as excitement. Milo smiled. The alien's tones had become more complex, more expressive, and he was learning to understand them more clearly. He waved, and the alien responded with a graceful tilt of its head. The hotel, meanwhile, was buzzing with activity. Guests whispered about Milo and the alien, their curiosity now mixed with admiration. The staff had begun to watch more carefully, recording interactions, trying to understand how a human child could communicate so naturally with a being no one else could comprehend. Officer Karen, still skeptical, lingered in the background, observing every gesture and tone with sharp eyes. Milo led the alien to a quiet corner near the observation deck, where sunlight streamed through the glass, casting bright patches on the floor. He set up his colored blocks, arranging them in a simple pattern. The alien leaned forward, its long fingers hovering above the blocks. Milo clapped a simple rhythm, tapping the blocks in sequence. The alien responded with tones and motions that mimicked his rhythm, then added its own variations. Milo laughed, delighted. He had discovered that the alien not only understood patterns but could create its own sequences, combining observation and imagination. But the calm did not last. Suddenly, a loud alarm echoed through the hotel. Lights flickered as emergency signals flashed across the walls. A maintenance drone had malfunctioned in the upper floors, causing a chain reaction in the hotel's automated systems. Elevators stopped mid-journey, doors opened and closed erratically, and minor power surges sent equipment sparking. Guests screamed and backed away as staff rushed to contain the problem. Milo felt a surge of concern, not fear but urgency. He knew that the alien's unique understanding could help, but the challenge would require quick thinking and coordination. The alien tilted its head, producing a long, urgent tone. Milo interpreted it as concern, mirroring his own feelings. He gestured toward the flashing panels, then clapped a pattern of 3 short beats, followed by 2 long ones. The alien responded instantly, its tones forming a counter-sequence that seemed to stabilize the flashing lights, at least for a moment. Milo realized they could communicate through rhythm, guiding the hotel's systems indirectly. Guests and staff watched in disbelief. A child and an alien, neither fully equipped to operate the hotel's systems, were somehow preventing the situation from escalating. Milo's heart pounded, but he remained focused. He had learned that the alien responded to patterns and music, and now he was experimenting with using sound and motion to coordinate multiple systems at once. Milo clapped sequences in rapid succession, pointing to different areas of the hotel where sparks had appeared. The alien produced complex tones in response, each one corresponding to a specific system: elevators, lights, security, and maintenance drones. Together, Milo and the alien created a pattern of communication that seemed to stabilize the entire hotel. Sparks dimmed, doors stopped malfunctioning, and the guests slowly regained a sense of calm. Officer Karen approached cautiously. "What are they doing?" he muttered, It's impossible. A child and an alien, no one else could do this. The hotel manager shook her head in awe. They're improvising, they're communicating, somehow guiding the systems with rhythm and observation. Incredible. The alien produced a corresponding series of tones, and Milo watched as the patterns seemed to resonate with the drone's sensors. Slowly, it began to respond, moving away from the guests and back toward the maintenance bay. The coordination required precise timing. Milo had to anticipate the drone's movements, the alien's responses, and the reaction of the hotel's systems. His hands moved quickly, tapping, clapping, pointing, and drawing sequences on the tablet. The alien mirrored and expanded the sequences, creating a dynamic interaction that balanced speed, logic, and intuition. Guests and staff could only watch in awe as the child and the alien managed a crisis that advanced technology alone could not solve. Finally, after tense minutes that felt like hours, the drone came to a complete stop in the maintenance bay. Lights stabilized throughout the hotel and the alarm ceased. Guests applauded, some laughing nervously while staff exchanged astonished looks. Milo's mother rushed to him, hugging him tightly. "You were amazing," she said. "I can't believe how you handled everything." The hotel manager approached, her eyes wide. "Milo," she said, "you've shown something remarkable today, not only bravery but creativity, observation, and patience. You've done what no adult or machine could." Milo blushed, glancing at the alien. "It wasn't just me," he said softly. "It was us working together." Milo realized that the alien had learned from yesterday and from today, adapting its communication to his methods. It was no longer a visitor struggling to understand humans. It was a partner, a learner, and an explorer of a new form of interaction. Milo experimented further, introducing sequences that combined color, motion, and tone. The alien mirrored and expanded these sequences, creating patterns Milo had never imagined. He laughed, delighted by the creativity unfolding before him. The alien was not just intelligent, it was imaginative, capable of abstract thought and cooperation. Milo felt a thrill of excitement. He had discovered that humans, even small humans, could teach, inspire, and cooperate across species in ways no one expected. Guests who had lingered returned quietly, watching the display. They were mesmerized by the complexity of the interaction, by the way Milo and the alien seemed to understand each other instantly and intuitively. Some whispered to each other in admiration. "It's incredible," one said. "A child teaching an alien and solving a real crisis in the process. Humans may be underestimated in the galaxy, but they have something special." It produced tones before he even clapped them, adding subtle variations that complemented his rhythms. Milo realized that this was true collaboration, a dynamic exchange of ideas, patterns, and understanding. His parents watched from a distance, proud and amazed. Milo's mother whispered, "He's showing us all that humans are capable of more than we ever imagined." Curiosity, creativity, courage. Those are things machines and even advanced aliens can't replicate. The aliens' abilities were incredible, but human creativity, empathy, and quick thinking had made the difference. Before leaving for the night, Milo and the alien sat quietly on the observation deck. Milo traced shapes in the air, producing gentle tones, while the alien responded with shimmering waves of sound. It was peaceful, a moment of connection after the day's excitement. Milo knew that their bond had deepened. He could anticipate some of the alien's tones, and the alien seemed to understand his gestures and patterns more clearly than ever before. Milo thought about what he had learned. Humans were small and fragile in a galaxy full of powerful beings, but they possessed unique qualities, curiosity, imagination, courage, and empathy that could not be measured by technology or strength. Today had proven it. A child, guided by curiosity and patience, could communicate, collaborate, and even save the day when adults and machines struggled. The alien shimmered gently, producing a tone that Milo interpreted as gratitude. He smiled, feeling proud not just of himself, but of all humans. It was a reminder that even in the vastness of the universe, humans had qualities that could stand out, inspire, and bridge worlds. As the stars began to twinkle above Veyron Prime, Milo knew that this was only the beginning. There would be more challenges, more discoveries, and more opportunities to show what humans could do. And with the alien by his side, he was ready for whatever came next. Tonight, the hotel was calm once more. Guests slept peacefully, staff returned to routine, and Milo reflected on the day's events. He had faced a challenge, communicated across species, and helped solve a crisis that no one else could. he realized something profound. Humans were not just passengers in the universe. They were innovators, learners, and connectors, capable of amazing things when they approached the unknown with courage, empathy, and curiosity. And somewhere in the aliens' shimmering tones, Milo sensed excitement, anticipation, and a deep appreciation. They had faced a crisis together, learned from each other, and discovered a new way to communicate across the vast differences between species. It was a reminder that humans, even small and young humans, could stand proud in the galaxy. The morning after the hotel crisis, the atmosphere in the Veyron Prime Orbital Hotel was calm but electric. Guests whispered among themselves, amazed at the events of the previous day. Word had spread quickly. A child, Milo, had not only communicated with an alien no one else could understand, but had also helped stabilize the hotel's systems during a malfunction that no adult or machine could handle. The staff were still buzzing with astonishment, and even Officer Karen, who had been the most skeptical, watched Milo with a newfound respect. Milo woke early, excitement and a little sadness filling him. Today would be the alien's departure. While Milo had grown used to the shimmering visitor, he knew that Zirin, the alien's name, as he had finally understood from the patterns and tones, would be leaving soon to continue its journey across the galaxy. Milo packed his notebook, tablet, and colored blocks, thinking about all the discoveries they had shared and the understanding they had built. He found Zirin waiting near the observation deck, gazing at the city below. Its skin shimmered in soft hues of silver, blue, and green, reflecting the early morning light. When it saw Milo, it produced a long, melodic tone that seemed to stretch and ripple in the air. Milo smiled. He had learned to recognize the nuances of Zirin's tones, each one conveying emotion, curiosity, or thought. He waved gently. "Good morning, Zirin," he said softly. Zirin responded with a sequence of tones that Milo interpreted as greeting and acknowledgement. The alien's movements were fluid and deliberate, its long fingers tracing patterns in the air as if it were thinking aloud. Milo approached carefully, pulling out his notebook. Today, he thought, they would not just communicate, they would share knowledge, memories, and understanding. Milo began by showing Zirin simple patterns and sequences he had created over the past days. He clapped, tapped, and traced shapes in the air. Zirin responded with a complex series of tones and shimmering motions, sometimes imitating Milo, sometimes creating new variations. Milo realized that Zirin was teaching him as much as he had been teaching it. Every gesture, every sequence was a lesson in alien thinking, logic, and creativity. The hotel staff watched quietly from a distance. They had learned by observing Milo that humans possess something unique, the ability to connect, adapt, and create meaning even with beings no one else could understand. They saw him communicate not through machines or technology, but through empathy, observation, and curiosity. It was a lesson they would not forget. Milo's parents approached, smiling proudly. "You've done something incredible," his mother said. "You've connected with Zirin, taught it, learned from it, and helped everyone around you. You've shown us all what humans are capable of." Using his tablet, he showed planets, stars, and orbital paths, pointing to each and explaining their names in human language. Zirin tilted its head, observing intently. Then it produced a long, melodic tone that seemed to correspond with the movement of planets. Milo realized that Zirin was connecting its understanding of space with the human way of seeing it, learning in a way that went beyond words. Next, Milo showed Zirin simple scientific concepts he had learned in school: the flow of water, basic physics, and patterns in nature. He used colors, shapes, and rhythms to explain, while Zirin responded with tones and motions that reflected comprehension and curiosity. At times, Milo felt as if they were having a conversation in a language neither fully understood, yet both completely grasped the meaning. Guests and staff continued to gather quietly, watching this extraordinary interaction. They saw a small human boy and an alien sharing knowledge, solving problems, and understanding each other without a single spoken word. Some whispered to each other, realizing that humans, often underestimated in the galaxy, possessed qualities that even advanced beings could admire. As noon approached, it was time for Zirin's transport to arrive. The shuttle hovered just outside the observation window, its surface glowing softly as it prepared for departure. Milo felt a pang of sadness. He had grown used to Zirin's presence, and the thought of losing the alien's company made his chest ache. But he knew that Zirin had a journey to continue and knowledge to share elsewhere. Zirin approached Milo, producing a series of soft tones that he recognized as a farewell greeting. Milo responded with gentle claps and traced patterns in the air, expressing gratitude, friendship, and respect. The alien mirrored the gestures, its shimmering body pulsing with light that seemed almost like emotion. Milo realized that communication had become something beyond language, a shared understanding and connection that transcended species. The hotel staff approached, forming a respectful circle around Milo and Zirin. The manager stepped forward, bowing slightly. "On behalf of the hotel," she said, "we thank you for showing us something remarkable. You have reminded us that humans, even small humans, have qualities, curiosity, courage, creativity, that can bridge worlds." Zirin's tones shifted, producing a complex melody that Milo understood as a gift of knowledge. He realized that the alien was sharing insights about advanced mathematics, physics, and alien logic. Milo could not fully grasp all of it, but he understood the meaning behind the gift: respect, trust, and acknowledgement of humans' potential. He responded with gentle claps and traced patterns in the air, conveying gratitude. The guests and staff watched in awe. They understood that this moment was extraordinary, not because of technology or spectacle, but because of human qualities of empathy, creativity, and curiosity. A child, small and unassuming, had achieved what no one else could. Humans had bridged the gap to another species, proving that even in a vast galaxy they could stand proud. As the shuttle powered up, Milo waved at Zirin. The alien hovered near the window, producing one final sequence of melodic tones. Milo responded with a rhythm that expressed farewell, friendship, and hope. The alien's shimmering body pulsed brightly, almost like a smile, before it turned and ascended into the stars. Milo watched until the shuttle was a distant point of light, carrying Zirin to new worlds, new knowledge, and new adventures. For a long moment, Milo stood silently, feeling the weight and beauty of what had happened. He had communicated across species, solved problems, and learned in ways that no one else had imagined. He felt proud not just for himself, but for humanity. Humans were small in the galaxy, yes, but they possessed qualities, curiosity, creativity, empathy, and courage that could inspire even the most advanced beings. Milo's parents approached, gently taking his hands. "Do you feel proud?" his mother asked. Milo nodded. "I do," he said. "But I also feel excited. There's so much more out there, so much to learn, so much to explore. Humans have a lot to offer, and I want to see it all." Officer Karen, usually skeptical and cautious, shook his head with a small smile. "That boy," he muttered, "he's something special, and so are humans. We may be underestimated, but we have something powerful: curiosity, imagination, and heart. That's what made today possible." He traced shapes in the air, tapping gentle rhythms on his tablet, imagining that somewhere far away, Zirin was responding. He smiled, knowing that their connection had changed both of them. Zirin had learned about humans, and Milo had learned about alien intelligence. But more than that, Milo had learned about the power of empathy, curiosity, and courage, qualities that made humans extraordinary. As night fell, the city below twinkled like a sea of tiny lights. Milo's parents stood beside him, watching silently. "Do you think Zirin will remember us?" his father asked. Milo nodded. "I think it already does, and I think it will remember what humans can do. How we can connect, understand, and even teach in ways no one expects." The events of the past days had proved that humans could stand out in a galaxy filled with advanced beings, not because of technology or power, but because of their curiosity, courage, creativity, and empathy. Milo's heart was full as he prepared for bed. He looked at the stars one last time and whispered, "Thank you, Zirin. Until we meet again." The night was quiet, yet in the depths of space, Milo imagined a distant shimmer, a pulse of light and music, a memory of connection, and the promise that the universe had recognized the remarkable potential of humanity. And somewhere among the stars, Zirin continued its journey, carrying not just knowledge and experience, but a lasting respect for the small, curious beings called humans. Milo had shown that even the youngest, smallest humans could bridge worlds, inspire understanding, and leave a mark on the universe. As Milo closed his eyes, he dreamed of new adventures, of planets yet unseen, and of the many ways humans could shine among the stars. The galaxy was vast, full of mysteries and wonders, but he knew this truth: humans were extraordinary, and their journey had only just begun.